They call him Seatin, the man of legends.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Rift 3.0 preview video. I am here today with Simon Finch, aka Dead Simon on the forums. He is right in front of me on this lovely shark mount. Would you like to introduce yourself, Simon?
Hi everyone, I am Simon Finch, more commonly known as Dead Simon. I have had that name for a very long time, ever since the beginning of Rift.
Okay, so where are we today then, Simon?
Well, today we're going to be touring some of the zones in 3.0, also known as Nightmare Tide. As you can see, it is the plane of water, and we are underwater. It is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful here. It is important to note, though, that only about 10% of the gameplay in Nightmare Tide is actually underwater. People love underwater in small, bite-sized chunks. So we have made sure that as people follow through the quest line here, you are taken into and out of the water at a nice leisurely pace. You're not underwater all the time. People find that gets a little oppressive, but I think you'll agree it is absolutely gorgeous.
Definitely, it just looks amazing. The atmosphere is so vibrant. I mean, there's just an incredible amount of detail put into this initial zone, like the amount of little jellyfish all over the place. You got a few stingrays over here. So I think we should go for a bit of a swim around, and you can sort of give a brief overview of what's happening in this kind of area.
Okay, well, this is where the players will first be introduced to the plane of water. And as they work through the storyline here, they will discover that things are not all as peaceful and beautiful as they seem. As longtime players of Rift may know, we have 6 planes of power that have been causing problems on Talara for a long time, and this is the first time the players are actually coming to sort of like take the fight back to one of the planes. But they will discover that the planes are also at war with each other. So it's not all about water here. And the other thing that players will also know is that all of our planes have what we like to call an emotional element to them as well. So even though the plane of water is about water, it's also about nightmares and dreams and illusion. So things are not always as you might expect. This is, I like to call this water as you've never really seen water done before.
So this is the real sort of slap in the face between the transition from water to land. Now, there is essentially just a giant wall of water. So you start off in water, and then you go to a place that is essentially Moonriven Breach, which is kind of a drained basin. You know, all the water has gone. There is just a fish here, as you can see, just flopping about all over the place. So what's happened to the water in these zones, sort of lore-wise and story-wise?
Okay, well, as I mentioned before, the plane of water is also the plane of dreams. In fact, you will discover that the entire place is created by a dreamer, a main dreamer, Drom, who has dreamt all of this stuff into existence. He also uses the dreams of mortals and the ascended, and so players will begin to sort of like recognize some places as they penetrate deeper in as well, although they will be twisted and weird. Water, as I've mentioned, does not behave the same way here, so you'll notice things like these that I like to call our nightmare tide pools. But Drom is waking. He is waking out of an eternal slumber where he has been dreaming this world into existence, and as that happens, bad things are happening. The water is being removed, and not like you should be. Are you protected here?
I see I've got one of the scalp just attacking me, so I don't think the invisibility ore is working, but the damage reduction is...
You're not invisible, you're just, you should take no damage.
Ah, just completely immune. Okay, that's wonderful.
Yes.
I'll just let them pound on me then.
Well, and if anyone does start causing trouble, I can get rid of them. So rather than the water draining out like it would out of a bathtub, it is being carved out as if it was solid, leaving behind these vertical walls of water. And we play around with that quite a lot. You'll find vertical walls of water, horizontal walls above and below you. And it adds a whole new aspect to exploring the zones, because you can get to places that you wouldn't normally be able to get to in some of the standard zones.
So we see kind of like all sorts of enemies in this expansion. Now, what are the kind of antagonist of the expansion? You mentioned Drom is sort of the main dreamer causing the plane and all the various nightmares here. So who else do we see? Sort of like characters like the Skelf. What kind of involvement do they have with the players?
Okay, well, the Skelf are actually a new race that live here in the plane of water that the players will not have encountered before. They will encounter both friendly and not so friendly versions of them. In fact, one of the Skelf will become a very key character in the story. So let's see if we can go and find one of those guys. One of the main antagonists here in the Gabora Reef, which is the zone that we're in right now, which is the zone that players will start in, are actually the Bloodfire Army. As I mentioned before, the planes are also at war with each other, and people that are familiar with recent events in Rift will know that the Bloodfire Army have been causing quite a few problems over, I think, about the last 6 months. They've been probing into Talara, and they were basically beaten back by the Ascended and have sought out what they're hoping is a softer target, and are in fact invading the plane of water. Here's a Skelf. I think I'm pretty sure I am on aggro, so I can. Oh, of course, you're the one with the camera on. So
yeah, exactly. So what do we have here? We have a Skelf Enforcer who seems to be a much more brutish and armored one of them, and then we have a Skelf Priest over here who kind of appears to be sort of a caster who's throwing all sorts of nasty death and shadow magic at me. So they're very cool. They just have these amazing animations and builds to them. I really like them.
Yeah, I love these guys. I mean, the inspiration our artist took, as you can see, are kind of like deep sea creatures. There's ones that look more sharkish. There's ones that look like kind of deep sea anglerfish. I mean, they're absolutely amazing. Really great.
Especially the heads. They're just wonderful. Okay, so do we want to sort of move on to the what is it, Gil Fortress then?
Okay, let's. I will leave you here to deal with these guys. I'll just quickly teleport off there, and then I will summon you over. The Gil Fortress, yes, that, as I mentioned before, is where the Bloodfire Army are causing some trouble. Okay, hang on a second.
I'll just butcher a few more of these while we wait. Okay, so where are we at the moment then, Simon?
Right, so as you can see, it's not a sort of like nice and pretty and tropical island kind of feeling as where we were before. We are now at the Gil Fortress. This is where the Bloodfire Army have chosen to base their attacks. If you are looking up at the fortress itself over there, that was once the equivalent of the World Tree, if you like. Kind of like it was a giant coral tree that was the holiest site for the inhabitants of the plane of water, and the Bloodfire Army, striking at the heart of the plane of water, have gone after the most holy site first. So they have turned it into this blasted, decimated, fiery place. They're what we call fire-scaping. They are turning the plane of water into another plane of fire, essentially.
Wow. It certainly just does look amazing from the outside. Now, what does Gil Fortress function as, sort of in the expansion? Is it a zone? Is it a dungeon?
It's actually both of those things. So, well, it's not a zone. It's a scene in a zone. Our zones are there were 3 zones: Gabora Reef, Dromheim and Tarkin Glacier. They are big zones. If you pull up the map, you can probably see that they are pretty large zones, but they are actually larger than they look on the map because of the verticality that we were talking about earlier. All of the zones have a large vertical aspect to them. So just seeing the footprint is a bit deceptive because they're actually a lot bigger than that. Okay, let's just get rid of this thing so we can actually get in there. I'm going to clear path a bit.
Have a bit of a venture in and see where we can get to.
So where we are here is just the overland aspect of this, which we call sort of like in the this is seen in the zone, but there is also a dungeon. The Gil Fortress is also a dungeon, so there is an instance version that tells another part of the story, and also a much larger challenge.
Wow, it does look incredible. I've seen a few screenshots of the interior of the dungeon, and it just looks like you've done an amazing job both inside and out with Gil Fortress. It looks like it's just going to be one of those very, very memorable dungeons.
It's I mean, I do love this place. It's a great place to play around in and adventure in, and it's got a very interesting geometry, but it certainly isn't as pretty. Unless you're into fire and death and destruction.
It is very dark and menacing. So I see there are some Bloodfire Skelf here. So these are the earlier sort of shark creatures, but they've somehow been converted to the Bloodfire Legion.
They essentially have been fire-scaped themselves. So yes, yes, you will learn a lot about that process in the story.
It sounds very exciting. So I heard just above Gil Fortress, or sort of beside it, you've made a rather intimidating puzzle, being the master of puzzles that you are.
Yeah, alright, well let's go there and I can show you, and then I can tell you about it a bit. Let me see, going up.
So one of the things I also noticed sort of going around Gabora Reef is that throughout the zone you have sort of Lady Glacier whispering in your ear and shouting various stuff sort of like across the zone about the Bloodfire Army. So what is sort of that all about then?
Well, one of the things we've always done with Rift is learn from things that have worked or not worked in the past. One of the things that was very popular in Storm Legion were the loudspeakers all around Paladine that were sort of like giving players a little bit of a clue as to what was actually going on. And so we've used similar things here again so that players get an idea of what the situation is. And yeah, that is exactly what is happening. Lady Glacier is sort of like shouting out various things and adding to the atmosphere, and also giving the players a bit of a clue of who the bad people are.
Very nice. I really, really like that. It really helps build up a really good atmosphere for the zone and immerse people within the story.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah, come on down. Don't be scared.
Yeah, now I'm a bit scared. This cube is very, very intimidating. Like anyway, so we are at this giant puzzle cube that you have made. It has many a mystery. Would you like to explain a bit about it?
So, long-time players of Rift will know that we love to reward explorers. I've been a big fan of MMOs for a very, very long time. And one of the things I used to love to do was go and find sort of out-of-the-way places that I figured nobody else had been to. But more often than not, what would end up happening is I would just like, I guess that was interesting. Now I'm going to leave. There's nothing here. I wanted to make sure that in Rift that was not the case, that there was going to be, you know, that if somebody made it somewhere strange and out of the way, they would potentially get rewarded for it, which meant that there was always some reason to go to those out-of-the-way places and see if you could get somewhere no one else had got to. And that runs the gamut from just maybe finding one of the artifacts we have from the artifact system, or possibly one of the cairns or something that might actually reward you a little piece of armor, all the way to finding one of these crazy puzzles. And they have kind of got more and more elaborate as time has gone on. And this is the latest. It is a lot more replayable than any of the others, than it is a bit more of a game, if you like. And this particular one is like a 3D maze, making use of the fact that we're in water. And there are lots of little mini puzzles to solve that give you keys and will get you to the next point. So,
oh my. Three-dimensional mazes are my absolute worst nightmare. Oh,
well, that makes sense being in the Nightmare Coast, doesn't it?
It's very well themed, I will give you that, Simon. I will give you that. You've done a very good job with this. I'm probably going to repeatedly fail to solve this on live, but my god, it looks elaborate and in-depth. And how many keys are there in total? So you have to sort of progress on
10.
through certain parts. 10 keys.
You'll find, clues around the place as well. Like, for instance, if you come back up here.
Okay, yep, I see.
Just hover over this and it'll tell you.
A rusty lever? Oh wait, no, this one.
No, you
nope.
don't want to go with that.
Oh,
that just takes you back.
That's the one, yep. 10 keys for 10 doors, and the treasure is yours.
And you might
Nice
notice
little
there's a right on the other side. If you can move your camera so you can see just on the other side of this wall I'm standing next to, that is the chest you need to get to. But it will not open unless you have all 10 keys. So I just thought I'd put it right there where you can see it and tease you.
No, that's certainly a nice bit of motivation there, right in front of you. And my god, people are going to have hours and hours of fun on this.
It's going to summon you over the other side here.
So have the sort of rewards for these puzzles been decided yet, or?
Well, each of them have a unique reward for solving it the first time, but then, as I mentioned, they are all repeatable. So I will be adding, which I haven't actually done yet, so we'll be adding some rewards that you can get for doing it again. I'm also planning to add some achievements for like completing it fast, or doing it 5 times or whatever.
Oh, the completing it fast one sounds really cool. That'll add like another dimension to solving puzzles that I think will certainly keep, people that really love this kind of stuff entertained for even longer, give them extra challenges to do. So I really, really like the idea of that. Do you know what the specific reward is for this puzzle on first completion?
This one has a pretty awesome cape, actually, that has a puzzle theme to it. I'm not going to give away too much more about that, but when you get the cape, look at it very carefully and you'll see something in the cape that is pretty cool. So yeah, a unique cape, so you will be able to show off to people, hey, I solved that puzzle. Awesome.
I know, like, people such as myself, we love visual stuff on our characters to show off for our feats of epic achievements, so a cape is definitely a reward that's fairly sought after. Okay, so do we want to move on now a bit north to the Tarkin Glacier?
Yes, let me
maybe have a look at
see now. That is where I'm going.
Very awesome.
I'll make sure I don't summon you on top of a big bed. Okay. You know what? I'm going to move over. Let me get on my mount too. Probably I should have actually brought you in over here.
Well, we can quickly move around there to see the head of the beast itself. So, this area is Bifu's demise. Now, who is Bifu? I'm probably butchering the name, but tell me a bit.
Is Bifu?
Yeah.
I would go as far as saying Bifu was a god once, not a very nice one, who was imprisoned by.
It was an Akvan who was imprisoned by the gods in the First War.
Okay, there you go. It was an Akvan imprisoned by the gods in the First War. She was not imprisoned very well and started trying to escape, but as you can see, her escape was brought to a kind of cold and bitter end.
Yeah, she certainly doesn't look like the most friendly of people with that, those multiple heads and jaws.
No, this is also the entrance to one of our dungeons as well, actually. So players will actually be able to go in to the belly of the beast, so to speak, and they will have a nice challenge down there.
Oh, that is really, really cool.
Tarkin Glacier is sorry to cut you off there. The Tarkin Glacier itself is an example of how, even though this is the plane of water, water comes in many forms. One of them is frozen solid. So Tarkin Glacier is ice. One of our most popular zones was Iron Pine Peak. People seem to love snow zones, and they've been asking for another one for a long time, and so this was our chance to give it to them.
Oh my god, it just looks absolutely amazing imprisoned in the ice. Are there any plans to sort of turn this old god maybe sort of in the future to maybe unfreeze and start causing a bit of chaos, or...
Our list of things we would like to do and plans for the future is literally about, it's probably bigger than the tax code of the United States. So I would say yes. Whether we'll ever actually get to do that or not is another matter. We pick and choose from that and decide on bang for the buck, so to speak.
No, that's fairly understandable. So, Bifu looks absolutely amazing, but...
I'll tell you one thing that has been requested several times by, I don't know who these people are, very strange in my opinion, is people want this to be a dimension so that it can live here. It's like, okay, I guess
I can
it takes
understand, some people do like an old demigod in their sort of back garden that looks very vicious, so, if enough people want it as a dimension, I think it'd be make a very cool one. And there's a lot
well,
of
I'm sure Faratha is on it right now.
Probably.
She loves to give people what they want. All right, let me see. Let's try somewhere else.
Yeah, so in the background there is this massive mountain of which is Mount Chirax.
Right.
Could we take a bit of a closer look at that and sort of what maybe up the mountain?
Whoops. Yes, we can indeed. Mount Chirax is just like we were talking about Gil Fortress being an overland area and also a dungeon. Mount Chirax serves two purposes as well. It is a part of the zone, and there is adventures and quests to do here, but it is also, when you finally make it all the way up to the summit, that I'm not going to take you there today, but when you do finally get to the summit, it is our raid zone.
It's brilliant. I'm sure a lot of the 20-man raiders will be looking forward to that. So this is Mount Chirax. Oh my god, it's absolutely incredible.
Sorry, this is where things are beginning to get weirder and weirder as people penetrate through the whole Nightmare Tide in general. Things get stranger and stranger. This is a frozen ocean at the edge of the cosmos, basically, and if you look up there, you can see things basically are obeying a whole different set of rules. Physics is very different.
Crazy. What are all sort of these little Tempest cosmos things? I don't know how to quite describe them. They look like mini universes just in the sky.
Might well be. I mean, I'm sure that the researchers back in the the Ascended researchers back in Port Sion, Tempest Bay, are trying to figure out the answer to that. I can't tell you. I don't know, but they do look like galaxies, don't they?
Yeah, they're very interesting. And I noticed up the mountain you have these these new sort of giant-like creatures known as I believe the Skarax.
Well, they are the Sharax. Yeah, they are. The Sharax is also another new race that has been introduced in Nightmare Tide. They tend to actually be all bad. I don't know whether we actually have any good ones of those. I haven't met one yet.
They look very, very intimidating. I remember seeing sort of the artwork for these on the live stream a few weeks ago, but to see them in the game now is just absolutely brilliant. I love how they all kind of look like just frozen Vikings, really.
Yeah, I'm going to take you one last place where you can see where these guys are doing some stuff that's not so nice. Where is that? You got to watch out here because I got to make sure I summon you in somewhere safe. Don't go in the water here.
Okay, I'll be careful
Oh,
to avoid
yes.
the water. It looks like you might have gone in the water there.
I might have
Simon.
gone in the water myself. Just 1 second, let me get out.
Don't worry about
I
it.
guess I didn't actually pin my health. I made myself not aggro, but hey, well, you wouldn't be taking a tour with Dead Simon if Dead Simon didn't die at least once.
You're definitely living up to your name here, Dead Simon, you know?
Alright, so let me do that, and that will help me. I am going to just find this place if you just hang tight a second. I'm trying to find there we go. Okay, so we'll stand here. Right, I'm about to summon you.
Okay, wonderful.
And you will see if you look up the way I'm facing, you'll see one of the giants up there.
I do. I see him just knocking about on that ledge over there.
He is. He's also sacrificing people.
Oh my
as you'll
god!
see. So as I said, not the nicest group of people. So
Oh, they're just hurling people off all over the place.
yes, I will leave it to the people playing the game to figure out why they're doing it and what gets done about it. I'll let you know that this really pisses somebody off.
Oh. Well, I guess that is one of the mysteries of Nightmare Tide the players will discover in just about a month's time. And I'm sure they have a lot to look forward to. The mystery of flying people being very high on that looking forward to priority list. So, Simon, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do the tour with us. Really, really do appreciate it. It's been brilliant seeing some of the zones and getting a fairly, in-depth look at sort of Gabora Reef and some of the zones in Tarkin Glacier. I personally just cannot wait for this to be finished and launched in just over a month's time. October 8th, I believe, is the magical date where everything goes live.
That is where we're targeting, yep.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, is there any final words or anything you'd like to say before we conclude?
Well, just that we've just scratched the surface, really. There is a lot more to see, but in the interests of keeping this to less than multiple hours, I will say I will say goodbye and can't wait to join you all when we go live.
Okay, well, thank you once again, Simon, for taking the time out of your day to, show us all this awesome stuff. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and have a wonderful day.